Alright, peace real quick. So I was on Twitter arguing with one of my Hebrew Israelite brethren, and he was, talking all this, that, and the third, and we basically end up breaking it down to his belief of, and this is the Hebrew Israelite thing, and this is where we fundamentally disagree. I would say as Moors, and in the Hebrew Israelite ideologies, I guess you can say. Okay, is they believe that two people of so-called African descent, like two different black folks, okay, quote unquote, right, are different people based on their cultures. So the Hebrew is different from the Canaanite, right? Even though they was in the same land together and intermingled and intermixed and etc. and looked the same and blah blah blah. You understand what I'm saying? No different from the American and the African American. Like, are we different people, or are we the same people living on two different lands, which has produced different features about us? Okay, so genetically, it's really only two people on the planet. It's those with the Neanderthal DNA and those Africans that don't, those of African descent, or that don't, so-called African descent, right? So I wanted to share with him that a quick, little meme or something with that, what I'm saying, with that premise. It's only really two people on the planet. So if we think we different black folks because we Israelites, then what I'm saying, the Kemites or something, then that's just like, what I'm saying, I'm a different I'm a different person because I'm a blood and he a Crip. Basically, what I'm saying, it's a real pointless argument. So as I was finna hit him with just a quick article, I kept running into this. Africans carry a surprising amount of Neanderthal DNA. Look at this, January 2020. This is some new shit they pumping. So I was like, oh shit, here we go. I can't prove my point because they got some shit they finna come back at me with. You know what I'm saying? You got to deal with that type of shit out here. So of course I had to go read it. And when you read it, you see the bullshit that they're pumping. But one of them tells you the truth towards the end of the article, and I'm gonna show you that in a second. But you see how many it was? It was a good 4 or 5 pages popped up, and they all was around this date, and they all talking about the same thing. Africans carry a surprising amount of Neanderthal DNA. For about genetics told the Neanderthal, at least the DNA sequence that lived amongst European Asian as their descendants. Not so in Africans, the story goes, because modern humans are our extinct cousins and are bred only outside of Africa. The new study overturns that notion, revealing that an unexpected large amount of Neanderthal ancestry in modern populations across Africa. It suggests much of the DNA came from Europeans migrating back into Africa over the past 20,000 years. So what they're saying is that Africans do have Neanderthal DNA because some of the original ones that left Africa and went to Europe and magically had sex with a different species of animal and created a non-sterile being that reproduced, even though that's not possible in modern biology, but we believe it in history just because why not? Because that's what geneticists say. They say they interbred with Neanderthals, but we know that a lion can't have sex with a tiger and create a reproducing being. The being will be the liger, and it will be sterile. Okay, we don't have a patch of them running around because that's not possible. Because different DNA don't mix and create new beings like that. That doesn't happen. But apparently, it happened in history when Africans mated with Neanderthals, even though they never explained that. I mean, if someone has an explanation for that, then I'm open. So anyway, essentially that's what this article is saying, that they came back and they migrated with Africans. You understand what I'm saying? So African people, so everybody now has Neanderthal, because up until this point it was always that Africans didn't. Okay, so if you go into, I want to show you this. This one. It was one of those that came up, and it's very very precise. I would say it tells you what it is, like how our DNA as so-called African people descend from African people that descend from Africans, if you will, is much more diverse and much more complex than any other race, any other so-called races, any other so-called ethnicities. Okay, because ours is older, and you know, essentially if it's out of Africa, then everybody came from Africa, then everybody will be, you know what I'm saying, then the original one will be will be the oldest. You know, it's common sense shit. But they tell on themselves when they talk about shit like this, because they're showing that the fact that they weren't mixed in with us and absorbed shows that they're not as old as they claim to be. Because they're saying that this Neanderthal migration back into Africa was like 20,000 years ago. Okay, so that little bit of Neanderthal DNA, I mean, you know, that 2% of Neanderthal DNA or whatever got absorbed, but it's still within the DNA, is what they're saying. But I'm gonna show you that they tell the truth about that in this one. Okay, Africans have more DNA than previously thought. You read the whole thing, they tell the truth down here in the bottom. But I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. This one came out. This was an article written in 2016. So few now dispute that a few percentage of DNA of non-African humans is the legacy of interbreeding with Neanderthals. See, this is what I'm talking about. They say interbreeding with Neanderthals, but they don't speak about genetically how that is possible. So anyway, we'll keep going. However, this word, I'm not gonna try to pronounce some of these words, because you know you can see them, read them for your goddamn self. I don't feel like sounding like an idiot. And mutation rates appear to be linked as such that the loss of diversity, people, the loss of diversity associated with humans migrating out of Africa caused a mutational slowdown, allowing Africans to diverge more from both our common ancestor and Neanderthals. Do you understand what that is saying? Do you see what that said? Allowing Africans to diverge more, meaning much more complex than any others. Here I use a range of contrasting text aimed at distinguishing between the mutation slowdown and introgression as explained for the high rates of base sharing between non-Africans and Neanderthals, base sharing between non-Africans, and thus in every instance the mutation slows down hypothesis fits both better, excuse me. So he's saying that their mutation slowdown happened because of their climate, I suppose he's saying. It's widely accepted that modern okay, I'm gonna show you this real quick before I keep going with that. Check this. I got this from somewhere. I can't remember. It's old, but it's from the book The Journey of Man: A Genetic Odyssey by Spencer Wells, page 39. As we shall see, other genetic data corroborates the mitochondrial results, placing the root of the human family tree, our most recent common ancestor in Africa, within the past few 100,000 years. Consistent with this result, all of the genetic data shows that the greatest number of polymorphisms in Africa. Consistent with the result, all the genetic data shows the greatest number of polymorphisms are in Africa. Okay, well, who are we? African descent. All right. There is simply far more variations in that continent than anywhere else. You are more likely to sample extremely divergent genetic lineages within a single African village than you are in the whole rest of the world. The majority of the genetic polymorphisms found in our species are found uniquely in Africans. European, Asian, and Native Americans carry only a small sample of the extraordinary diversity that can be found in any African village. Do you get that? So an African village is equivalent to a suburb where it's predominantly black people. All right, because when you talk, I mean, if we actually just came from Africa 400 years ago, our DNA from there ain't that much different. Which should tell y'all something why we look so different. But anyway, go back to this because he say something else in here too. I want to show you. It's widely accepted that the modern not carry a few percentage of Neanderthal, the original age base higher less. Hold on, the original inferences were based on higher than expected levels base sharing between Neanderthals and non-Africans. This pattern was subsequently reinforced by analysis of the size of introgressed fragments, analysis of the Denisovan genome, and targeted analysis of specific individuals and genes. The latter two are convincing, but inferences of the more general pattern explicitly assume that mutation rate is constant. I don't think I need to read all this. In fact, human mutation rate likely varies between populations. Okay, the variation co-varies with heterozygosity, a heterozygote instability, a pattern also reported recently in plants. Consequently, the large loss of heterozygosity, I think I said that right the first time, that humans suffered while migrating out of Africa lowered the mutation rate in non-Africans, causing non-Africans to be more related than Africans, both in our common ancestor and to related lineages like Neanderthals. In view of this, I decided to conduct a series of tests aimed at distinguishing between the Neanderthal integration and the mutation slowdown. Okay. So he's saying, so that's what he's saying. You can take from this integration if you didn't know, I didn't, a transfer of genetic information from one species to another, resulting in hybridization of them. Okay, so when it's talking about the integration of two human from Neanderthal, right? So that's going to come into play in a minute when we go back here. But just to show you, because when you say African, we automatically think, well, we black folks been mixing with Europeans for 400 years, so that's how we different and all this shit, right? Okay, check this out. The father of all men is 340,000 years old. Let's peep it. This came out 2013. Albert Perry carried a secret in his DNA. His Y chromosome is so distinct that it reveals new information about the origin of our species. It shows the last common male ancestor down to the perennial line of our species is over twice as old as we thought. Who is Albert Perry? Watch this. To her about Perry's unusual Y chromosome on his team, Perry, genetic. Hold on, excuse me. Perry, recently deceased, was an African American. All right, he's an African American, and his DNA go back 340,000 years. So you think that's because he mixed with Europeans? Let me calm down. Goddamn. All right, so you understand what I'm saying? When they say African, don't think that as an African American, you're not no ancient person just because you've been mixing with Europeans. That's not how DNA works. It's dominant recessive. When you mix with them, their DNA becomes obsolete within your system. Hence, that's why if you black and white, you black. Right? So, okay, so on the other day on Twitter, which also kind of prompted me to do this video, this brother right here, posted this right here, talking about the coccyx, the shortened tail located at the bottom of the spine. And it's just showing the European child with the tail. Okay, I'm just showing you the Neanderthal connection. That's from their Neanderthal genes. All right, so this book, I don't know what this book is. I think I asked the brother. It might be in the comments, but whatever. This book right here is talking about it, and it says, "In what other ways does a pale man differ from the Nubians? Besides having more hair on his body than Nubians is of course black people. The pale man tends to have more and different vestiges on his body. Vestiges are structures on the body that have not disappeared through evolution." Okay, from the Neanderthal. One of the most interesting vestiges that the pale man has is a tail. Technically speaking, the tail is called a coccyx, and it is located at the end of the spinal column. However, the most important point is that occasionally babies are born with clear and visible tails, which the doctors clip off at birth. Okay, so that's just showing you their connection to their, Neanderthal lineage. I mean, that's just what it is. I ain't trying to talk down on people or nothing. It just is what it is. I'm just showing that there is a genetic difference between us. Like, we don't all have to be, we are one and all the same and all that to be peaceful with each other. You understand what I'm saying? We don't have to live a lot. Just to be nice to each other as human beings. We shouldn't have to. You understand what I'm saying? We should be able to just operate like fucking human beings and treat each other how we want each other to be treated. but that don't deny the facts of the, you know what I'm saying, the true history. So as we go back, I'm gonna show you a couple more things real quick. This was the point, right? Africans supposedly are Neanderthal, carry Neanderthal genes as well, so we all the same, right? Okay, but if you come to this article, which you will find if you Google the same thing I did, this is that the scientists, right? Africans have more Neanderthal DNA than previously thought, okay? Same shit from January 30th, same thing. Modern Africans on average have 17 megabases of Neanderthal DNA in their genome, according to analysts published January 30th. Okay, so this is this year, earlier this year. While still quite a bit less than the 50 plus megabases of Neanderthal found in the genome of modern Eurasians, which is non-Africans. Eurasian is Europe and Asia. So we're talking about Europeans and Asians. Modern Asians is more than some scientists expected, and quite a bit more than zero assumed by the statistical methods that have been used to identify Neanderthal ancestry in modern genome. Okay, so they're saying that same thing. Now watch what you can read all this if you like, but they tell you the truth when you come down here. Let me show you. Where's it at? And okay, so here it says a King's group also identified another potential bias in how researchers have interrogated modern genomic data. Analysts identified Neanderthal sequences in modern human genomes by comparing them to the Neanderthal reference genome, but as a result, in interbreeding with modern humans, Neanderthals carry modern human DNA in their genome. Hey, do you peep that? They're supposed to be a different species, but they can't. Now watch. Let me show you why. This means that all current methods, even this new one, are overestimating the amount of Neanderthal DNA in modern human genomes across the board. Africa, Europe, and Asia, says Aki. We're finding similar sequences. Peep this. Nail in the coffin type shit. Not because of the introgression from Neanderthal to modern humans. Not because of that. But from an old hybridization event where humans gave Neanderthals their DNA. Do you understand me? Now, you believe what they tell you. First off, how the hell did the Neanderthal come about? They don't even address that shit. But they just told you that Neanderthals have DNA of modern humans. And then they're saying that because the African has that same DNA, they're claiming that that is Neanderthal DNA. But they told you that the Neanderthal got that DNA from the original human. So that DNA that they're saying that is now Neanderthal DNA within African is in actuality ancient DNA of the modern human that gave its DNA to the Neanderthal, and that Neanderthal and then and mixed in with other Africans, and it's still laying dormant. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what they claiming is that this ancient DNA, right, that was from the original human, right? The original human gave that to the Neanderthal. Now they're calling that Neanderthal DNA and claiming that that is what is in the African. You understand what I'm saying? But that DNA was before the Neanderthal. Therefore, it's not Neanderthal DNA. It's DNA that the Neanderthal inherited it. Okay? That's the double talk. I know I might have kind of said some shit kind of funny or what have you, but that's what it is. You see? Modern humans gave Neanderthals DNA. So let me tell you what really happened. All right? It's y'all cool, people. It's what Elijah Muhammad said. What Elijah Muhammad said was a mythology about genetic cloning. At the end of the day, them people was created in the lab, man. It don't make sense. Mixing two different subspecies, creating new people don't make sense. And let me show you. Even by their standards, it doesn't make sense, man. Listen, watch this. No evidence. Listen. No evidence of Neanderthal mitochondrial DNA has been found in modern humans. Okay, this suggests that successful Neanderthal admixture happening in pairings with Neanderthal males and modern human females. Not unlike today, you black women taking being these fucking what I see? What's it called? A white man's slave whore or some shit. That's a real thing. Jesus Christ. But anyway, let me keep going. Possible hypothesis. These people don't know because they don't want to acknowledge that they was created. But listen, possible hypotheses are Neanderthal mitochondrial DNA and detrimental mutations that led to the extinction of the carriers. That the hybrid offspring of Neanderthal mothers were raised in Neanderthal groups and became extinct with them, and that female Neanderthals and male sapiens did not produce fertile offspring because that shit's impossible. You okay? Female Neanderthals and male sapiens did not produce female offspring. Okay, so it had to been a male Neanderthal and a female woman. Now watch, hold on. As shown in the interbreeding model produced by these two cats in 2012, the Neanderthal admixture in modern humans may have been caused by a very low rate of interbreeding between modern humans and Neanderthals. Peep how low this rate is. With the exchange of one pair of individuals between the two populations in about every 77 generations. Do the freaking math. Okay, I just had to do this just so you understand this. Look at this. How long is a generation? About 20 to 30 years. About 25 years. Okay, this says one couple, one woman, one modern woman, an ancient woman, black woman, and one Neanderthal in about every 77 generations. Okay, we talking about interbreeding between archaic and modern humans. 77 generations. You do that math. 77 times 25. You're talking about two people having sex. A monkey and a African person, African woman, right? Every 2,000 years. And this happened 50 times over 100,000 years. And that's how the European people were created. Tell me, in what world does that make sense? The low rate of interbreeding would account for the absence of Neanderthal mitochondrial DNA from the human genome pool as found in earlier studies, as the model estimates a probability of only 7% for the Neanderthal origin of both mitochondrial DNA and the Y chromosome in modern freaking humans. Makes no sense, people. Makes no sense, man. Okay, but so goddamn it, to sum it up, I be getting wired. Let me sum it up. Using one such technique, first in 2016 and again pre-printed posted earlier this summer. This article here is August of last year, 2019, and it's talking about fossil DNA reviews, new twist in modern human origins, right? Okay, where was I at? Using one technique. Then again, pre-printed earlier this summer, whoever this is and his team found that around 3% of Neanderthal DNA, and possibly as much as 6, came from modern humans who made it with Neanderthal DNA more than 200,000 years ago. The same group who gave rise to the modern human throughout the world also furnished Neanderthals with at least a little more DNA than the Neanderthals would later give them. You think you're looking at a Neanderthal, but you're actually looking at a mixture of a Neanderthal and a modern human. So this is telling you straight up, Neanderthals were made. And this is telling you, back doing what the other article said, that 6% of Neanderthal DNA is ancient modern human DNA. So what they're saying is that DNA that is now found in the African is Neanderthal DNA. Instead of saying what it really is ancient human DNA that came before the Neanderthal even existed. Do you understand? So this is the double talk these people do. You understand what I'm saying? So when people hit you with this, Africans have Neanderthal DNA too and all that, and we're all the same, and that's bullshit. All right, like I say, man, we don't have to be all the same and all best, act like we all one and all that old shit just to be, civil with each other. I think that my people, if we were to separate ourselves from these people, and that's what I promote, separate ourselves, become completely independent of these people, then we can meet up with these people in the middle and do business with them. And then all you people who still want to, what I'm saying, interact and do your swirl and all that, y'all can still do that shit. Y'all just have y'all places where y'all go do that shit. And we have our places where we go be by ourselves, with ourselves, in our own fucking society, where children ain't gonna be getting fucking snatched up and raped and shit. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. I'm tired of being around this fucking shit where we gotta condone children getting fucking sexualized. And that's okay because that's PC and shit. Now fuck that. It's not okay. That's not our fucking culture. So I want to get somewhere, and if you want to come to me with that whole people used to have young wives and all that old shit, okay, well fuck you. That ain't our culture right now. I want to be around a group of people who don't want to do that shit. And I know more. I ain't heard not one Moorish American say they want to start a fucking town, a city where pedophilia is accepted. Every more I know talking down on that shit like you supposed to. Fucking people disgust me with that pedophilia shit. And I'm going off. So that's what I'm saying. Like, and I'm not blaming pedophilia on so-called white people. I ain't trying to go down that road. But I'm saying like this intermixture of our cultures and of our societies is on a false narrative. You understand what I'm saying? Let's promote the truth and then let's separate like we need to, like we always have been throughout history, because that's how we need to be, because we're not the same people. We can still interact and still do business together, but we need to be independent of each other. Or what's the point in trying to force ourselves to be together and fighting and killing each other all the fucking time? That was the whole point of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, was to stop this shit. But anyway, so I done went off onto some more shit. At the end of the day, we ain't the same, and I ain't gonna never say we the same, and it ain't got nothing, and I ain't trying to say we better or none of that shit, but we just different and we need to separate from these people. Okay, and so and to my Hebrew Israelite brethren, it's only two people on the planet, man. It's those with the Neanderthal DNA and those without. So it's those that were a part of the experiment and those that weren't. So you understand what I'm saying? I say it's those that came from the experiment and those who were the experimenters, who created the experiment, who created these people, who created the Neanderthal. Where does the Neanderthal come from? That's the question you should ask these people. How did it come about? How does it happen? Anyway, so peace and love. We're going to end it right there. Y'all see what it is. Take it.